Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, July the 14th, and you are at the Board of Selectmen's meeting for the town of Halifax. And as our usual opening, we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're also being filmed this evening. We're sort of getting back into a regular routine by Area 58, and it will eventually be available on our local access channels. And we're on
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, apparently. So we're getting way techno. We're going to open up tonight's meeting. I'm going to take something a little out of order. We all know that we've been living under unusual circumstances for the last several months, and we've had some people stand out for us. Not the only people, but we wanted to focus on this group tonight. Our maintenance crew, who've gone above and beyond during this event. They've shown up for work every day. They've made their schedules conform to what we needed to do the necessary cleaning and preventative procedures in the town hall under Scott's direction, which has been great. We can't, as a community, do a whole lot for anybody when we single them out, but what we can do is acknowledge them. And we can give you a form of acknowledgement in these plaques that we spared absolutely every expense for. So I want to call out tonight Thomas Schindler and Andrew Elliott Smith for their outstanding performance during this whole event. And I'd like to present you each with a little token of our appreciation. Unfortunately, you probably can't even trade them in for a cup of coffee, but I would be happy to buy you each a cup of coffee.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, both of you. Thank you. Sure. Bert?
Yes, Bert Mann from the Municipal School Building Committee. You also had Mr. Hall outside the room. But a special thanks also, we wanted to make mention, again, like you had said before, above and beyond is Mr. Materna, Scott Materna, who's really gone out of his way.
Both ducks. If we were in that position, I think it could be done pretty quickly. I'd still like to get some input from Scott. There isn't just a few more chairs, there's a lot of stuff.
If in fact it improves his ability to do his job, or whatever individual we have in that position, then it's a good idea, but just for the sake of moving to be moving.
With the help of his guys and whatnot, it's very much appreciated by the board itself. He's certainly, his professionalism and outlook is outstanding. I'm sure you've all seen the jobs that have been done in each department as far as the screening goes, the fogging, make sure that the community has the fogging and the equipment and the chemicals to keep us as safe as possible. And it's very much appreciated that the job that they're doing is certainly recognized. It's very much appreciated. We, as the board, placed a letter in Scott's file along with a grateful community for the job, the outstanding job that he and his guys have done. It's very much appreciated, and thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Very well said, thank you. And I want to point out that Scott was very humble about it and in wanting to promote his people to get some recognition. So Scott has done an outstanding job. We're very fortunate to have him. I'd like to keep him for pretty much forever, but he may not go along with that. Thank you all. Thank you, Bert.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll move along for an approval of the agenda.
Charlie, could you open up conservation for me? Sure. So I can put this paperwork back in there, please? Thank you.
Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda, or are we good with it? I think he's ignoring me.
I'm just double checking.
Well, when someone's ready, I can accept the motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move on to the regular session meeting, minutes rather, for June 2nd, 2020, and June 23rd, 2020. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them? Any changes, corrections, additions?
Move them.
Pam, the ones that you sent out today,
Yes, right, those were the,
that was the 23rd.
yeah.
I didn't have a chance to review those ones.
So you want to approve them?
It's okay to do
You
the
guys,
second?
we can do that for the next meeting if you
All
guys
right,
want
so
to do the second.
we'll just do the second.
Okay.
Want to second the second?
I'll second the June 2nd meeting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I know, those were, quick, I just took them. So.
Yeah. I saw the email come in, but I didn't have,
All right, we're going to turn it over to the clerk for the warrants.
I move to affirm the approval of the following warrants and commitments. Vendor warrant number 116 for
It's 118.
$87,751.60.
Just a correction, Troy, it's 118.
118?
Yeah.
The top one?
Yep. Well, at least that's what mine says.
I got a 7.
They probably placed them all the same way.
Yeah.
Did
no,
I
they
print-
were saying the number. They were saying you read 117.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
118 for the warrant number itself.
I stand corrected. Payroll warrant number 119 for $180,308.26. Vendor warrant number 121 for $42,100.85. Vendor warrant number 1,464,122.77. Payroll warrant number 2 for $85,829.30. Vendor warrant number 3 for $25,380.80. Withholding warrant number 4 for $90,091.03. Ambulance commitment from 6/15/2020 to 6/21/20, $35,541.72. Ambulance commitment from 6/22 to 6/28 for $35,329.39. And ambulance commitment for 6/29 through 7/5, $26,746.42.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Affirm the following approval of the following selectmen bills. Brooks and Durensis PC Legal June, $380. Brooks and Durensis Legal, $260. Attorney Lawrence Mayo, $2,237.50. KP Law PC Legal June, $1,433.50.
Second. All those in favor and voting?
All right.
Aye.
I abstain.
To move to affirm the approval of the following selectmen bills. Michael Gilman Esquire Legal June, $286. Town of Halifax reimbursement petty cash, $8.70. Charlie Seelig mileage, 88819 to 3620. $354.53. Relax doing business as LexisNexis Mass Law subscription, $70.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve the following warrant and commitments. Vendor warrant number 5, $1,280,000, $696.86. School warrant number 122, $82,769.35. Mobile park fee, $5,160.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. And that completes my presentation, sir.
I think you're up.
Okay, sure. Road opening, 13 Dwight's.
You guys have the bills for, it's in red.
Oh, the selectmen's bills.
Yeah.
I thought they were all on the page here.
No, I didn't put on the pages where we're meeting, it's when we don't meet, I put them on the page, that those ones,
Sorry about that. Insurance bill, selectmen's bills, insurance bill, $213,025. Dispatch service, outside dispatch service, account, $150,000. Regional Old Colony Communication Center. Selectmen's expense account, $225, Mass Municipal Human Resources. Selectmen's expense, $166.50, MMA annual dues. Insurance account, $600, and that's the CNA Security Bill Direct. Selectmen's expense account, $65, Express newspaper. And the last one, insurance, $32,374, and that's for Chubbs and Sons, Division of Federal Insurance Companies Department, Palatine, Illinois, $32,374.
Is that it?
That completes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, it's you.
Okay. Road opening, 13 Dwight Street, abandoned gas service at that location. From the main, police detail is needed, usual stipulations from the highway surveyor.
Do you need a motion?
Did we get response from the highway?
Yeah, usual stipulations from the highway surveyor, yes.
Rubber on the pavement? So I'll move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then another road opening for 330 Plymouth Street. This is for a new water service. Again, detail is needed. And again, the usual stipulations from the highway surveyor.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Reappointment for tree warden for Stephen Hayward for a term expiring on June 30th, 2023.
So let me get this straight. When the tree's out of line, he handcuffs us and brings it in?
That's it.
Bring his chainsaw with him.
Yeah, he has to serve meals too.
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
163 Plymouth Street, this is a problem property that came up during the last week, though I suspect it's been a problem for a little bit earlier than that. I've sent a letter to the mortgage company that now owns it. I guess they went through a foreclosure. There's junk, there's possible hazardous materials, there are possibly too many boats there or whatever else. Alan Diaz from the Board of Health has also gone by and confirmed everything. I'll report back to the board at the next board meeting on the 28th to see if we got any sort of reply from these folks. But they're in violation both of the junk display bylaw, and also we, several years ago, had approved a bylaw that bank-owned, mortgage-owned properties needed to register through the building inspector's office. They've not done that either. So I've notified them of both things. We'll see what we get back on that.
So you haven't heard anything from the bank?
No, I had sent it out,
I'm wondering if
think
there's
Thursday.
squatters, that's what...
well, I only just sent it out July 9th, that's it. So they probably just got it today or yesterday. 58 Pine Street North, Gordon had asked for an update about the permits for the property. Chris Carmichael had determined on March 4th that the property was buildable for the, but had some various restrictions depending on what was being built there. Then also Chris Carmichael issued a provisional approval of building permit on June 2nd and then signed the building permit on June 19th.
So have we paid him?
Yes.
So are we're gonna have to continue to pay him when he
Yes.
does all the inspections and everything
Yeah.
for that property, correct?
And also for the neighboring property. Moving on, I had made copies for the board of a letter from the Metro Mayor's Coalition, which was a pledge, principles, and actions to address systemic racism. I don't know if the board wanted to do anything with it. I did forward it to the police chief for his thoughts. He informally had talked to me about it, I think, back on Thursday. And, mentioned many of the things that are there are things that many departments across Massachusetts are already doing. But I didn't know if the board wanted to do anything with that letter.
What if anything's gonna be done if the letters, if we sign on to this?
It'd probably be up at the Boston level. I mean, in the sense of, I know the state Senate passed a police reform bill, I think last night. It's now going to the House, for instance. I don't know if there are other things on that list that were outside of the scope of the police reform bill that the Senate had done. But the letter was sent out to a number of communities in the Metro Boston area. I wanted to make sure the board was aware of it. I'm not expecting one way or the other for the board to take any action. I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of it. Let's see here. Is that here? You do have a copy from Susan Lawless, the Council on Aging Director, for the proposed outdoor programming, the protocols and procedures in place to allow such programming, given our Phase 3 regulations. She's working with Scott Materna on getting a tent so that they can have some shade area for smaller program items. They can also do ones without the tent, depending on temperature and sun and everything like that. The use of the tent does end up restricting the number of people who can attend a particular event. Having it just outside without an enclosure, it's pretty much unrestricted. But her hope is that during the summer and even possibly into the fall, depending on temperatures and weather, they'll be able to provide some programming that they might otherwise would have tried to do in the Council on Aging building, Pope's Tavern itself, which just in terms of the architecture doesn't allow for the type of programs that she'd like to have there. So if the board has any questions about it, I can certainly refer them to Susan. You're just getting this now, so take a look at it, and if you have anything, I'll pass it along. I do have to work on the playground COVID signage. I put up temporary signs over at Hops a few weeks ago. I've gotten examples from other communities, and I'll probably be trying to contact one of the sign companies to get something more permanent. Some of the signs that I received were Phase 2 ones, basically when we reopened Hops Playground earlier this spring. Now it's Phase 3, and various activities that weren't allowed under Phase 2 in the playing fields and such are now allowed. So any signage I would put up would have to be updated to explain the Phase 3 regulations. First of several line item transfers. This one is for police wages to communications for $3,000. We had a couple of phone bills. We're basically paying for 2 phone systems by the 8x8 and also Verizon. So they had money available in police wages because there were fewer details and other overtime shifts, and that money could be used in the communication moved over there.
So moved.
Pam?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Let's see, Pope's Tavern Roof Project. The architect provided some additional information based on the questions from Tom Milius and Robert Petrilli. Vertex had a number of suggestions and recommendations for additional information for the plans and specifications. Waiting to hear back from Scott as to how to approach the architect about these suggestions. I'm working with Vertex on the bid documents, prevailing wage schedule, and advertising. It's simply a matter of, as much as, I expect we're going to have a vote, or that Dennis Carmen, our town moderator, will on this coming Thursday postpone the town meeting again. It would be good to get the ball rolling on the bids, but that means that I'd like the bid specifications and the bid documents and drawings to incorporate what Vertex has suggested. I don't want to step on Scott's toes because it's the building committee's project, and I'll check back with him again on tomorrow to see whether he wants to talk with the architect and send these along, or he'd rather have me do that.
Vertex did an outstanding job reviewing those plans. That was well worth the exercise.
Right.
A lot of it was just questions, but
Right.
they need to be answered.
Yeah, because if we don't, it's easier for us to get those answers now before we go out to bid than to try and deal with change orders or changes in the bid documents. On the Maryland's Landing project, the board had previously signed a letter a couple weeks ago confirming that the town continues to receive updates from McDonald Industries about the ongoing work to fill and grade the properties on the Halifax Bridgewater line for a future solar field. There's no action for the board. I'm just entering this into the record so that there's something in our minutes indicating that happened. In terms of the annual town meeting, as I mentioned, my plan is to have Dennis Carmen via Zoom meet with the board of selectmen pardon me, on Thursday and recess the annual town meeting from August 1st to August 22nd or 29th. I'm working with a firm called East West Event Services to provide a professional audiovisual and IT setup for using the gym, which probably has a max of about 100 people given social distancing protocols, and then also the multi-purpose room, which we might be able to fit 40 or 50 people. They are the same firm that worked with Plimpton in a similar setup in terms of using 2 rooms. I didn't know if, I've always listed the auditorium over at Silver Lake as a possibility. I don't know if the board would like me to further investigate that as an alternative.
I think it would be wise that we do have an alternative.
I know that the feedback from the Kingston fire chief was that they weren't comfortable having the Kingston meeting there.
In the auditorium?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or outside at the, yep. So that was the feedback.
I'm just laughing because you said we knocked out inside and outside. Are they thinking the gym then?
Kingston's going to hold it at their intermediary school.
Intermediate.
Is the auditorium large enough?
Well, that's our school too, right?
No, Kingston.
Oh,
So, yeah, there's the middle school and the high school for Silver Lake, then.
Okay.
They have their elementary and then they have their
Yeah.
Okay.
intermediate.
I think it's like 5 and 6 grade.
So I think what they were gonna do is try to run audio between the 2 school gyms there, if they could, if they needed to. But,
That'll be cumbersome.
so that their date that they had set was August 8th, which is the same day as graduation, so that was another conflict. And I don't know if they're gonna push it again or not, so.
I mean, I'm going to give Matt Durkee a call and see. I may not be able to get over there this week, but later this month I may be able to. And at least take a look and, maybe if it looks at all promising, then check with the fire chief. And if he's saying no go, then we can just take it off the list.
Okay.
When will the agency you're dealing with know when they can make the preparation we need if we want to use the elementary school?
Well, Matt and Scott were in the loop in terms of meeting with East West. So, I did a site visit with them several weeks ago, then another one last week with this firm. So everybody's on board in terms of the postponement. I suspect unless the state budget gets done fairly quickly, we're going to postpone twice, once either to the 22nd or 29th, and then ultimately to September 12th. And both Scott and Matt are aware of this, and also the firm is aware of this. So unfortunately, we can't postpone the meeting for more than 30 days at a time. So as much as I'd like to, it would have been nice to simply say we're meeting on September 12th. I can't officially say that until Dennis has recessed it 2 more times.
Thank you.
So Charlie, if he recesses it on the 16th, can he go past August 16th?
No. No, I think it's 30 days from August 1st. I'll check with Larry, but it would be 30 days from the date of the scheduled meeting, not 30 days from the announcement.
Okay.
Elsewise, he'd have to wait, to the day before, and we're not giving people adequate notice of the change. Just on the highway backup generator, Steve and Caesar had approached me about the need for a backup battery backup for the phone system there in case we have power outages, but it also needs to be somewhat tied into having the generator there. Steve, is there a generator? Pardon?
Town hall, we have one down there.
Okay.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, all the phones are hooked up in the building here, right?
Yeah.
So you need battery backup for here and there. You do need battery backup there,
We
though.
have a generator, so we'll have power. If we lose it, we just won't have the internet unless we have it here.
I need to talk to Caesar, because you have your own box. I'll talk to Caesar. You have your own box there. I mean, we pay a separate subscription for highway, just like we do for the water, for the Council on Aging. So power outage here shouldn't affect highway. I mean, both places usually go out if we have a power outage.
But it's the phone system that we're
Right.
talking about.
Yeah, because
It's on the server here,
Yeah,
right?
okay. Well, maybe that's what, okay, then I see what you're talking about, okay.
Or the other solution is to go back to a standard phone line for the office for just emergencies.
That would be enough.
Because you don't have a regular phone line now.
Let me talk to Caesar about that.
If you do that, you should probably go to a cell backup, because, I mean, the phone lines can still get taken down and you're out of business.
yeah, usually we don't lose power that long anyway, but it's just one of those,
Right.
all the calls gonna be going to the dispatch, and I get some pretty ridiculous calls during a storm,
Yeah,
so I don't think they want to hear.
like when you're coming down to shovel my driveway?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you push snow in my driveway.
On the Silver Lake Regional School District, we had got the official notifications from DESI and from Silver Lake about the 1/12 budget. Since we haven't the towns haven't approved the district budget. So we received the information necessary from DESI. We also, from Silver Lake, there's a little bit of difference between our 1/12 budget and their 1/12 budget, but I don't think it's material. In the sense, it's significantly different than the Kingston situation. And when I had when we had gotten information from DESI, from the Division of Local Services, they agreed that the two departments needed to work out any differences. So we'll allow them to work it out, and if they order us to do X, Y, Z, we'll just follow up.
DESI's taking the approach that it's 1/12 of last year's with no changes.
Well, it's also the assessment is what's crucial on our end. But our assessment, the assessment we approved temporarily on the 1/12 budget for each quarter is slightly different than what would be the assessment based on DESI's numbers. It's a minor enough difference, but still they'll rectify it one way or the other. Parking on Lincoln Street Beach, while there's no formal signage prohibiting parking on the beach itself, informally, it's not a good thing. I'm working with Tom Schindler to produce no parking beyond this point signage, but we'll also need to either provide an exception for vehicles with handicap plates or placards, or provide better access for those with physical disabilities to get from the parking area to the beach.
It stopped working. Oh, okay.
So just so the board's aware of that, I'm working with Tom on that. Old Colony Elder Services, they notified the town that they don't need alternate delegates from the communities, therefore the board needs to rescind its previous vote appointing Junie Riccardis as the alternate.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You've re-
I'm still on as a delegate at large.
Well, you're on for the Old Colony Planning Council.
All right,
This is the Old
Elderly
Colony Elder
Services,
Services Council.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, you've reached 8 o'clock, and I haven't reached the marijuana item, but in terms of the Bud's Goods discussion, so if you wanted to take that out of order.
Sure, let's do that. Let's take Bud's Goods out of order.
Yes. So what the situation is that Bud's Goods had signed a host community agreement with the town several months ago. They then have sent in what's called a application for provisional license to the Cannabis Control Commission. Then the Cannabis Control Commission sends it out to the town for 60 days, but with only one question, which is legally, is this site where Bud's Goods wants to place the facility allowed under the town's zoning bylaws? It's not a matter of, does it make good financial sense? Is this an appropriate use of the property? Are there any problems that, for the neighbors or abutters or anybody else? It's limited, that question is limited to the zoning issue.
Right.
The board encouraged me to publicize the fact that the Cannabis Control Commission had put out this question. I received a lot of feedback on Facebook. A lot of it, while it's helpful in terms of the discussion of whether ultimately Bud's Goods should be allowed to build a facility there, which is an outdoor marijuana cultivation facility along with some processing, much of it, much of it was not related to zoning. Fred McGovern, who's a member of the Finance Committee, provided, pointed out some concerns he had on the zoning issues. These would include that some of the property is in the floodplain and might need special permits regarding that. Also, whether the use is, despite being allowed by special permit in that industrial zone land, would be also considered to be prohibited under the town's zoning ordinance 1167-9 under prohibited uses, probably basically as a noxious activity of some sort, whether it's odors or anything else that might affect neighboring properties. Somebody also mentioned it might be a violation of the Aquifer Protection District. However, the Aquifer Protection District the overlay does not extend down to that part of Halifax. There's also was a comment about wetlands protection, but that would fall under the Conservation Commission, which is a separate bylaw, not part of the zoning. One thing I mentioned to the Cannabis Control Commission was the lack of them sending, in fact, the application by Bud's Goods, so that technically we don't have the application before the board to take a look at. That leaves the board in a weird situation that they're trying to answer a question from the Control Commission without having the information to do so. And the board may want to send a letter back saying, since we don't have the application, we can't make a final determination about this. We can't say that the property appears to, is industrial zone, it's allowed by special permit, and here are the other concerns, but we can't make an actual determination since we don't have the application for the provisional license before the board. I do appreciate everybody participating on their comments. What if Bud's Goods does receive a provisional license from the state, then Bud's Goods is still going to have to come back to the planning board for site plan approval and also before the zoning board of appeals for a special permit. Those are public meetings. The public's going to be invited to participate in those meetings, and people who have questions or want to raise objections or anything, they're going to be given an opportunity to do so. I don't know if there's anybody here to speak on this matter. We listed it at 8 o'clock as a public forum, so the board may want to check with the audience to see anybody who's here.
I came to listen to it, not actually speak on it.
Okay.
But it was confusing because on one town website it says it wouldn't be held, it'd be online, not in person. But then on agenda it says it's here, so.
Yeah, we're here.
And it's on Facebook, apparently, but except there's no volume.
It was, and it's no longer. The test died. It actually, the last time that we did this, the Zoom meeting worked, and I could share to Facebook. So I think if we're going to try this again,
Do it through Zoom.
do
and share.
Zoom and then share the link. That way, if the camera battery dies or whatever, it keeps the connection open.
I think what you suggested earlier, Charlie, makes sense to me, to reply to the Cannabis Control Commission and tell them we don't have enough information to make any kind of judgment call on this. And that if they would like to supply us with the appropriate information, we can at least look at it before we make a decision. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I agree.
I guess the one question I have is, what did we officially sign?
You signed a host community agreement, which is in essence an agreement of responsibilities and financial payments between the two parties. It's not a permit per se. It doesn't simply, they need it in the sense of to operate, they'll need that host community agreement, but they need the other two
Planning board.
legs of the stool. Yeah, they need the planning board and zoning board approvals, and they need the provisional license from the state. They can't operate with, unless they have all three things. Zoning approved, host community agreement approved, provisional license approved.
Okay.
So if the board wants to make a motion along what Tom mentioned,
Did Troy move it?
So moved.
He agreed to it, he moved
I'll
it,
second.
you're seconding it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Beautification Committee donations, they received 2 donations recently, one $250 from Rockland Trust and one for $500 from Northeastern Savings Bank. They are planning on a cleanup day of some sort in early October, I believe. I'm hoping that even with social distancing, they'll be able to put something together, since you can stay 6 feet apart and pick up trash or work on gardens or something like that.
Not to distract from that subject matter, but did we miss transfers?
Yes, because I skipped several things to get to the marijuana. Thanks, Troy. Boom, 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 boom. Line item transfers. So back to number 17. Affirm the following: police wages to police expense, $6,500. Trash collection, disposal to recycling center expenses, $3,000. And snow and ice to street lights for $5,000.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
On the Mass IT bond bill,
Actually, just a question on the snow and ice to streetlights. I thought we had talked about the traffic lights. Were we not gonna
That's
try to?
different, right?
I thought we were gonna try to move money out of snow and ice.
God knew when we talked about that, but we haven't done anything, no, the town, if
Okay.
anybody needs the money more than
Okay.
we need for the lights.
Can we get that under COVID?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because,
Being facetious.
all right, I guess we dropped the ball.
We still have money in the snow and ice account, right?
No, we're on the last day though to do something.
Oh, that's right.
Well, and in fact, we would have had to make the order 2 weeks ago. If we were going to buy something, the order for, the invoice or whatever would have had to be dated June 30th.
So could we open the warrant back up?
Could do something on the special, right?
Well, I have a note about a possible another special town meeting.
Yeah, when we,
So I have a note, we'll get to my note about the
Okay, all right.
special.
do you have any hard numbers?
No. The estimate I have is the 30,000.
Yeah.
And that's to do all of them?
That's not, yeah.
Okay, are these the crosswalks or were these?
Yeah, crosswalk.
Okay, when you said traffic lights, I thought you meant the 3.
That was the, that was the subject.
We
that came up
have,
in that meeting.
there's an article for that
Yeah, okay.
on the warrant already.
Okay.
For the crosswalk.
All right, okay, so we got to cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Massachusetts IT bond bill, Senator Brady proposed an amendment that would provide $185,000 for Halifax for laptops, a document retrieval system, electronic permitting system, electronic payroll system. This was before we knew that the CARES Act money might be able to cover those expenses. It wouldn't hurt, however, to have that as a possibility too. We'll see how the bond bill plays out, but at least he's offered that amendment on behalf of the town. Floodplain maps and zoning, FEMA had, in essence, unissued its requirements. The communities approved the new floodplain maps, so FEMA will have to reissue the maps some point later this year, and Halifax will then have about 6 months in order to incorporate them into the bylaws. The local FEMA administrator mentioned they're going to try and aim so the timing works for the annual town meetings next year in 2021.
They haven't changed a whole lot anyway, I don't think.
No, but we needed to update the map. The idea was everybody was going to update the maps this spring, and then because people had delays because of COVID, they said, and too many of them were saying to FEMA, we were asking for you to rescind it in our case. They basically gave it up and said, we're rescinding it for everybody, we're starting over again. We already talked about Bud's Goods. Beautification committee, and we did that. Andrews versus Halifax on the first court case, there were various filings during the last 3 weeks. Mr. Andrews filed on June 25th asking that Judge Vay's stay be lifted. The party trust filed on June 29th requesting extend the time to obtain necessary permits. Judge Vay extended the stay until at least July 18th with a planned telephone conference for that day, but that's been moved from Friday, July 18th to Tuesday, July 28th. My understanding is everything basically sort of left until that phone conference on July 28th. On the second court case, there was an amended filing of the complaint, the original complaint, I assume, by Mr. Andrews on July 10th. There were 2 appeals pending with the ZBA by Mr. Andrews. Both appeals were continued from the ZBA meeting last night to August 10th. Then on Amanda's Estates and their request for the special permit in the Wellhead Protection District from the Planning Board, the Planning Board did file its decision letter with a denial based on a 2-2 vote on July 2nd. The party trust had notified the court that it planned to appeal this decision. That appeal was filed today, July 14th. I've scheduled a meeting for the Board of Selectmen to meet with Land Use Council on Thursday at 6. I've invited the members of the Planning Board, and I understand it's a little bit of a tight schedule given the Planning Board meeting at 6:30. I'm not thinking that this initial meeting is going to take too long, but given our council's schedule and other party schedules, I worked out with Attorney Quest that this was the best time to be able to do that. So that will be an in-person meeting here in the Great Hall. And I've notified the Planning Board. I did post in case we had a quorum, the Planning Board attending, so that there wouldn't be any legal difficulty for that. And that's where all that stands at this point. Recycling contamination audit, waste management audits the recycling loads delivered to it, including Halifax's loads. The town passed with a 6.4 contamination rate. The passing is 10%, so lower is better. And thanks to the recycling staff for ensuring the town received a good grade. That's, up to our recycling driver, also the staff there, the attendants at the recycling center, and Susan Johnson, and then Steve Hayward as the overall department head, making sure all that happens. So it's better to get a good grade than a bad grade in this case. Walnut Street traffic issues. Harold Sprague had asked if there had been any further discussions about traffic and truck issues on Walnut Street. I told him I would bring this to the board, but I was not aware of anything in particular. I don't think the board's unaware of both Mr. Sprague, but other people on the street have complained about truck traffic and speeding and such. There just aren't any good solutions still available to us. The town will be sponsoring a Red Cross blood drive on
The Walnut Street. Can I just bring something up about that?
It's up to the board.
Sure.
Chris Winowitz from Circuit Street. It looks like previously you discussed Maryland's Landing, the McDonald's Industries. I know the highway department's having a tough time keeping the roads up to date. Has there been any thought amount of 18-wheelers that are going to that project that have been tearing up the roads?
You're talking about the landfill project, you mean?
Yeah.
From Bridgewater?
18-wheelers all come through Halifax and other directions. I constantly have them coming down Circuit and Wall Street because I think their GPS says that's how you get there. And there'll be 3, 4 18-wheelers backing up. And as they cut around Circuit Street in the triaxle, 18-wheelers spins them, they're tearing up the street and everything.
I didn't realize they were going in that way.
I can't get in that way. They must be-
Yeah, you'll hear them go by the house, truck after truck after truck, go down to the dead end, and then for like 5 or 10 minutes, beep, because they're all backed
Well,
up.
okay,
And
then-
then jackknife in the trailer.
So my suggestion would be that would be several-fold. One is that I contact McDonald Industries.
Yeah.
So to make sure that the folks that they're contracting with
Know how to
know
get there.
the proper routes. Two is, if the board wanted to, it can start a weight limit for those streets.
Because I noticed on Walnut Street too, in the corner, that top that you put on,
Yeah, that's where it's.
I think from all the trucks, they
Well,
wiped out the whole top.
Yeah, but the problem is that we can't do a complete truck exclusion. The Walnut Street problem is that because the trucks are coming from Bridgewater, Bridgewater would have to approve a truck exclusion route that basically would drive the trucks stay over on 104 and then down 106, and then down 105. The problem is that Bridgewater won't agree to that, and so we're stuck. But for our local streets, that they don't actually need to be using it all is even the shortest way, because there's no way of, as you're pointing out, of getting from Circuit to the landfill site. We can do a truck exclusion for
right.
Circuit, for instance.
You could also put a dead end sign up. Yeah, that's another thing we could have done.
But they come up Circuit usually, which isn't a dead end, and then they get to Laurel, and then take a 120-degree turn.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the only place you could put it, I really,
Yeah.
the Circuit Street isn't dead, but Laurel is, so I can put it basically where that stop sign.
Yeah, right, I was just gonna say right where the stop sign is, right?
Yeah.
So as I'm pointing out, there's several things we can be doing. And some of it is
That's the
under,
first, I didn't know they were going up.
yeah, well, I didn't know it either.
Well, I saw someone posted once the math from the site plan, they figured out over the project, it was like 20,000 bills over a lifetime, how much dirt they will.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of wear and tear on the road going through, if they come through Halifax, Walnut Street, 106.
Well, we can do all of the above, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
We just,
is that something you can handle, the signs,
Yeah,
Steve?
the dead end,
Look into
I
that?
have one up there.
And we can call McDonald's, right?
yes. And I can start the truck exclusion process.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, thanks.
Red Cross Blood Drive, there's going to be one here at Town Hall on Saturday, August 8th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. up here in the Great Hall. And folks who are interested can sign up at the redcrossblood.org website. Animal control officer in the job description and recruitment, there are 3 job descriptions that exist from previous times. And I think I've made copies for the board. If you don't have all 3 from various dates, the board may want to review them with the police chief before hiring the new animal control officer. The deadline for the applications is Friday the 24th. I guess we've got, what, a few in, do you think?
Yeah,
2 or 3? Okay. Yeah. And we've done the normal advertising, everything like that, so we'll see how it comes out. Fire department received a grant from FEMA for $10,555.81 for the Assistance of Firefighters Grant, this for the COVID-19 supplement, so congratulations to Chief Viveros for getting that money. Franklin Street Solar Field, the board previously had approved a change in the effective date of the agreement from March 2020 to March 2021 for the pilot agreement. Just placing this on the record. It was done because the solar field is not yet up and operating, so we're simply moving the effective date of operation and their payments under the pilot agreement. Simple Recycling, which is that company does the pink bag for textiles and other items. That company is no longer providing a monthly per pound payment. However, given the cost of recyclables to the town, any diversion from the waste recycling stream is financially beneficial to the town, and therefore the program should continue.
It was only a penny a pound,
Right.
so we're not losing
Yeah,
a
yeah.
horrific amount
I think it
of
was like,
money,
you know,
just so that we don't.
some
be
months we were getting
impressed.
like $10 or something
$10,
like that.
$11, yeah.
Fisheries and Wildlife and the Katzenberger property, the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife acquired the Katzenberger property down at the southern end of Elm Street, the parcel in late June. There'll be a small parking area that will provide access to the southern edge of their property in this area. Joan Pierce thanked the Board of Health, the Building Department, and the Treasurer Collector's Office for their help in making this happen. We've already done the certificates to the gentleman over at the Municipal and School Building Committee staff. Document requests from municipal officials. The Board of Selectmen received a wide variety of responses. After reading them, and I can make copies of the responses for the board, I'm recommending no changes from where we are right now, simply because if a municipal official would like to submit a written request for documents, there's nothing preventing them from doing that. The same is true for a municipal official who receives a request. That official can always take a verbal request and turn it into a written request. In either case, it becomes an official document request under the state's law, and then both parties have various responsibilities and rights under the law. Requiring each and every request to be made in writing can put up a barrier between municipal officials, and I believe it's detrimental to the general attitude of cooperation among the town officials. I understand the board may feel differently, but after you look at the variety of responses and such, I think that's the best way of operating, in that if there's a situation, then the written request helps everybody. But I don't think it's necessary for each time one town official asks another town official for assistance.
I'm good with that. I don't know how everyone else feels.
I don't have any issues with it.
It's fine as long as we can all work together and understand each other's requests, I guess.
Well, everybody has to be respectful, and if that happens, it all works.
On the CARES Act funds, a number of requests came from various departments. I'll make copies for the board, and then the board can approve an initial list at its meeting on July 28th. This is the funding that's being made available through Plymouth County. They did set aside specific funding for libraries, councils on aging, and programs for veterans. So any requests in those areas should be directed to that specific funding. I'm going to make sure that all three departments are aware that there's that special slice from Plymouth County for those departments.
Has there been any talk about what Plymouth County is going to do for the schools and the amount? So the state was going to put up $225 for every student in every district, and Plymouth County and Boston students are not eligible for that because of the CARES money. So
And what I saw from, there was some correspondence among my colleagues in Plymouth County. Plymouth County basically said, if you want any school money, you just take it out of your normal CARES fund. They're not going, so far, they're not putting aside any money specifically for the school systems. Silver Lake is different because Silver Lake and other regional school systems are not cities and towns, so they weren't covered under Plymouth County. So I believe Silver Lake is getting its own part of that 225.
So
How many students do we have?
Well, look, Representative Nacho put in one for $120,000.
Right, and that money's going for Silver Lake.
So,
but that wasn't CARES Act, correct?
Well,
yeah,
it
it was.
So the state got a big pot of money. Plymouth County and Boston said, we'll take care of our own. But not all of it in the sense of I'm making the numbers up, but Plymouth County got $90 million out of the $200 million that based on population, Plymouth County would have gotten it. The 110 stayed in Boston. The state then sent out something similar to the other, whatever it is, 323 cities and towns in Massachusetts that Plymouth County is doing with us. But they put another layer of cake on top of that specifically for school systems, so that their school system money is in addition to the CARES Act money they're sending out to the municipalities.
Thank you, Plymouth County
Right.
Commissioner.
This, obviously they're doing other pots of money for other things, whether it's small businesses, or for housing or anything else. They've got lots of different layers on that cake, but they separated out the municipal money from the school money.
So we have about 2,000 students within the Silver Lake district.
Well, what about our town?
Right.
So Halifax Elementary is about 600 students.
Which would be about the 120,000,
Yeah.
130.
So about the amount of money that we spent, we came up with that
Yeah.
basically for the Chromebooks.
Right.
But
Yeah,
Well, that's basically what the article stated, that she put in for $120,000 for laptops.
so the discussion that I got from the superintendent was that Silver Lake was going to get that money that was put in as what do you call that when it's a special? when it's within the bill. Can't think of the term.
Earmark.
Earmark. So Silver Lake's gonna get that earmark, but Silver Lake also thought it was entitled to $225 per student as well, is what is the feedback that I got from being on the school committee. Was they thought they were gonna get that in addition to the 125. So there's confusion among the school districts within Plymouth County of that. That's why I brought it up.
Well, what I can approach Lenatra and Brady again and find out whether any of the 225 is going to the non-district schools like Halifax Elementary, or is it any of the 225 going to the districts in addition to what she had proposed, or is that 225, the 120 she specifically mentioned? I mean, I did write, when I was doing my correspondence with my colleagues in Plymouth County about this, I included Senator Brady and Representative Lenatra in the discussion. I haven't heard anything back from them, but at least they should be aware by now that, as I said, I didn't want us, the 27 communities here in Plymouth County, to be treated as ugly stepchildren in the sense of that everybody else got 2 slices of pie, we were only getting one slice of pie.
Yeah.
So let me check back with them.
Okay.
Let's see, where are we now? Cemetery fees. You're up. No.
You're
Steve Hayward, the cemetery superintendent, who happens to be the tree warden, who happens to be the highway surveyor, who happens to be, no, you're not insect pest control, you never took that one.
And sign guy.
Has asked,
We could make that motion right now.
has asked the Board of Selectmen, as the cemetery commissioners, to approve a new fee schedule for the sale of the graves. It was last updated November 27 of 18. The current proposed fees are in your folders, though I think, Pam, you've passed additional, because Steve had got some information about comparable towns, so that I believe you now have that before you right now.
Yes.
What's the increase, Steve?
From 145 to 400. That's for the regular.
That's for the regular problem.
And then, cremation garden, that lot is $300. It's a big jump.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring in my head.
It's still under 42 other towns, it's just.
That was my next question, how does this compare to other cemeteries around here?
Today we've got all the different prices in different towns, different areas.
You should have that there, Troy. Did I give you one? Oh, okay.
Was that in this?
No, it's this. The comparative.
Okay. This?
That. This one.
They're still above what you're asking.
Yeah.
And those are
I mean,
medium.
18, you guys asked me if I thought I went up enough than I thought I had,
Yeah,
but after more research and looking into other things,
I think this is a good,
most of the time,
I think this is
still
a
under.
good start.
Yeah.
Where does the money for the grave go? The lot in the grave, I guess.
Lots of grave, that's what goes into the cemetery fund.
And, but that's different than
That's what-
perpetual care?
That's a whole different, that's $150 each grave is sold, goes to that.
So where's the money come from that runs, you know,
So the operating budget is taxes.
Yeah.
okay.
If he has things that are out of the ordinary, like he can use some of this money for equipment, for improvements to the cemetery. So for instance, I know at some point in the past, we used some of this money for paving, repaving the roads in the cemetery. We've used it to buy various pieces of equipment and such.
Yeah.
The perpetual care, the board's policy is we don't touch the principal. I think, in fact, that might be state law. We only can charge, get the interest, which is not much these days. Lot, right,
So much of the interest.
yeah. And then, but the lots and graves, it's available for use. The board has many times said, we'd like to we'll go to town meeting to spend that money, just so there's official approval from the town. It's usually dependent on the size of the appropriation. I'm making this up, but for instance, if Steve came to you and said, as you as commissioners, I need to spend a couple of $1,000s on something, you probably wouldn't wait for town meeting. If it was $20,000 for a piece of an equipment, you usually end up going to town meeting, just so there's an official approval of the money by the town.
Okay.
And on that piece of paper that I do that today, that shows how much, I've sold 5 of those cremation pillars and rocks or boulders, and it shows you how much we made on just the sale of 5 of them. So I was gonna ask for more money to go, and that's what I want, another reason I wanted to ask, can I keep on resupplying this wall, or do I have to come to you guys every time to ask to buy more boulders and pillars?
Are you saying, is it okay to use the money from the sale of the boulders and pillars to reinvest?
Right.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because I bought a total of 12 to start, and I sold 5 already, and we're not even really open for them. We're open, but we're not buried anybody yet. We're gonna have our first burial August 1st.
Again, to Charlie's point earlier, we're not talking a whole lot of money here, about
No.
$1,600.
60, that's what I was gonna do, 4 more double pillars and 4 more boulders.
And just kind of keep building
Just
off
keep
of
on building. It takes 10 weeks to get these. So if I sell these, what I have now, I'll be holding that will wait.
Makes perfect sense to me. We're not talking about a huge amount of money here. And it keeps you revolving, if you will.
Because I wasn't really sure how this was gonna go, but like I said, I've already sold 4 in a couple of weeks.
I think you're going to find a tremendous, maybe not tremendous, but a lot of enthusiasm.
What, people are dying to get in, is what they were going with
I was
that?
trying to avoid that, but thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah,
So
well, good, I don't know if you saw the picture.
Yeah, I left them there for
putting
now.
that together today.
When you're saying if you build it, they will come?
Yeah.
Field of Dreams.
I think it's becoming more and more popular, and it extends the life of our cemetery, which is also a concern.
So Steve, I guess, are you gonna you're gonna keep the boulders coming
Yeah,
back
the
this
bolts are
way?
gonna come down the walkway this way, and then the pillars will be, well, no, this way. This is on the inside.
Okay.
That's the road, so these will be going down. There's 5 on each side.
So then, is there a,
Yeah,
Opening. would there be a lane here?
oh, I'm doing too much. But yeah, if you see where this goes over this way,
Yeah.
comes that way, so I can put another base
So,
down.
okay, so you can put the base over
Extend
here?
it this way, and it's the same on, the whole thing is the same on both sides. And then I can go another 5 this way, and then another,
So do you have to keep extending the walk, I guess, is?
yeah, that's how I planned it, so that once these fill up,
Yeah.
we can make a walkway this way. I can put more stuff in the middle. I want to get some kind of a water fountain in the middle, but just make it look nice. But I can put more of these all up in here if I wanted to.
Okay.
So it's, I mean, there's over 20-something right in this area, in the small section, which would take probably like 40 or 50 feet
That,
on
on
a
a
regular
regular
grade. So, and like I said, they're selling, so that's a good thing.
Does he need a motion to?
It would be good, yeah, just to have it on the record.
And the motion should be
To,
Steve-
authorize the,
How much money do you want them to allow you to spend?
Oh, I crossed it off, but I wasn't gonna ask for it. But I wanna find out if I have to come to you every time I want to.
we're trying to help you here, Steve. So 1,600, is that what you need at a time?
That was just a little, I need 2 more bases, so there's another 800 also.
2,400?
1,800.
Okay, that's going to cover you?
for how long? One shot deal?
One should, yeah, just for, until I sell the rest of the those are.
If we
That's what I mean, I
authorize,
don't wanna buy a bunch of them at once.
Steve, what I would recommend is that you get an authorization of $4,000.
right, that's where I was going, get up to $4,000
Okay, up to $4,000.
without having to come back to us.
Right. And then each time I have to go up, come and ask you guys.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
get restocked. Okay. So,
Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to the amount of $4,000
From the sale of lots and graves.
from the sale of lots and graves.
Do I have a second?
Second it. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Back to line item transfers, there are several here. Fire department part-time wages, the fire department vehicle and equipment maintenance. Then there's going to be two of these, but one is snow and ice to stormwater for $1,702.69. Then police wages to communications again for $3,000, and then snow and ice to stormwater again for $6,022.31. These are to cover the end of the year bills in those departments.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
COVID, Holmes Public Library, just as with the Council on Aging, the library is planning to reopen to the public. This time, they have a specific date for in-house services. They've been doing curbside pickup for several weeks, but they're going to start doing in-house services on July 20th. A copy of the hours, protocols, and procedures is in your folder. Doesn't need specific approval from the board, but as with the Council on Aging, if you had any questions for Jean Gallant, if you can obviously contact her yourselves, or I can pass along anything. It's very worked out. They've got a set of hours that they're going to be operating, you know, the social distancing and hygiene protocols and staffing and operations. She's done a very good job, as did Susan Lawless for the Council on Aging, working out how they're going to be able to provide services and ensure the safety of the patrons and of the employees that visit there. Let's see, Beautification Committee, there are two vacancies. The committee's recommending that Adrian Barclay and Kristen Lofstrom be appointed to the committee. I didn't know if the board wanted to do that tonight, or if they wanted to meet with the board, have them come in on July 28th.
I think we should probably have them come in, at least have a meet and greet.
This one?
Okay, I'll set it up. Shared streets grants, that wasn't, the two applications were not approved by the state. I am planning on filing some sort of appeal. There's no appeal process, but nevertheless, hoping to have them realize the error of their ways in this, in saying no to us. I am going to contact our legislative delegation and the Lieutenant Governor's office. The way I'm reading what was sent to Steve is more or less, despite the fact that these projects, in fact, in my mind, met every criteria that they listed, they're looking for less permanent projects than we were talking about.
I did the same.
You know, in essence, you know.
That makes sense.
Well,
Makes a
I
lot
know.
of sense.
You know, because, you know, they're looking for cities, they're looking for places with downtowns and saying, oh, put up some traffic cones or put up some things that don't look like Jersey barriers or something like that, so you'll have more room for cafes and pedestrian traffic and bicycles and whatever else. We're not, you know, we're not thinking along the lines you are. And I think that Steve and the folks he worked with at Green Seal did a great job in putting together estimates and plans. It's not a failure by them, I think it's a failure by the state in making these decisions. But I don't have a great hope that they're going to change their mind, but
But let's pursue it.
yeah, I mean, we've still got the, you know, we've still got time to do all this summer, and what I want to point out to them is this isn't going away.
Right.
One, and even when it does, even when we get to a point, however we get there, that we no longer have to take the same precautions we do now, it's just going to be as equally important to get people outside and walking and having those sidewalks to connect, for instance, the Housing Authority to 106 and 58.
Right.
To have Cranberry Drive connected to the rest of the sidewalk network on 106
Yeah, absolutely.
is important, so.
Yeah, worthy.
Yeah. Ambulance abatements, $94,146.04 for June of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so another special town meeting. I know that Sandy was approached by a couple of departments. We've had a couple of issues, including the sidewalks. I didn't know whether the board wanted to, we can't reopen the warrants are done, they've been posted and everything for the original date back in June. However, there's nothing preventing the board, if it wants to hold another special town meeting on the same day. We had one article on the special town meeting warrant for June, which was the roof at Pope's Tavern. One way or the other, we're going to have I'm hoping we'll have bids in, but it won't matter whether it's a special or the annual. So basically, when we get to that article on the special, we'll done it one way or the other. The question is whether the board wants to have another special town meeting scheduled for the same day. The topics that have come to me so far, come to Sandy, are the issue of the sidewalks, pasture lane, in the sense of we've sort of left everybody in limbo. You know, the planning board's been working diligently with Attorney Mayo, and it may be that we just allow that to play out, just to hope that pasture lane gets brought up to standard, because the other possibility was just do the acceptance and spend the money to bring it up to specification and then go after the money from the developer. I'm not saying that's the good way, I'm just saying that in terms of working with the people who live there, you know, they're the ones really waiting for the town to be able to do something. But the other method's also there that the planning board's been working with Attorney Mayo to try and pressure the developer to get the work done. The other things on that list were, I think that Keith Swanson had talked to Sandy about a water department truck. We talked about the sidewalks. While the article for doing the truck inspections on Walnut Street was on the warrant, we also at one point talked about doing a special article for traffic enforcement, in the sense of putting more money in there. It wouldn't be limited to Walnut Street, it wouldn't be limited to truck inspections, it would just be more money for general traffic enforcement. The board doesn't, with the intent that the board's going to, the town moderator is going to move the meeting to late August at the very least, the board could still make a decision on the 28th of July to hold a special town meeting on the same day as the other ones that we're already holding, whatever the date is. But I didn't know if the board had any interest in doing so, and whether any or these articles should appear on that warrant, or if there are other articles that should appear on the warrant.
So we can wait till as late as July 28th?
Yeah, I would say so. So, I mean, let's say that we moved it to the 29th of August. That way, you would have more than enough time to get the warrant posted. If we can fit it even on a postcard, we get it mailed out, or if it's a one sheet of paper, get it mailed out. But you still have time to do that. But I guess if the board can think about it for the next 2 weeks to consider that.
That's where I was leaning, and we can take some time rather than rush into it tonight.
Well, I'm concerned about the attendance of getting in for the town meeting period. I mean, if everything remains status quo, we're gonna have a headache just with that. I agree with Tom. I think we ought to wait until the 28th.
And we can think about it, and then anything else that comes up, we can handle it all that night.
You had a request through the library for the South Shore Family Network to put a story walk on the Millennium Trail. Those are the two organizations that will be putting it together. I notified the Board of Health agent, Bob Valeri, who I believe has corresponded with Jean Gallant about this, but I also notified Sue Basile and John Shea. The library would like the project approved by the Board of Selectmen. I made copies of Jean Gallant's email along with a description of the proposed story walk. I don't think it's a permanent installation, given weather and everything. Would have been part of the handout that I gave Tom to give to all three of you. It was one of the, I didn't know if the board had any questions about it, or
Make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
and then on the IT office and the Great Hall Storage Room, which is the room behind that door there, were usually for storage of tables and chairs. I didn't know if there was any interest by the Board of Selectmen in moving the IT office to the Great Hall. I know we did, Great Hall Storage Room, we did get the AC and heating into the Veterans Office. I know that Will's very happy about that.
As well he should be.
But when that came up, there was also came up the question of whether we wanted to, in general, just get it up there, but also in connection with that, whether we wanted to move the IT office up there.
Will that improve services?
I don't know that it makes a particular difference. The room, the back room of the Selectmen's office is used for a multitude of functions. The cable equipment is there. We got the IT there. We use it for storage of a lot of files and everything. I don't know that it's necessary at this point to do anything like that.
I would be inclined to hold off. I think we need to look at IT in general on a global scale, if you will. And then we need to get some input from Scott as well, because I don't know where he's going to put all this stuff.
Right.
So I'd like to postpone this, I think. No, I don't think, I know I'd like to postpone this conversation.
So I know when we did the walk around before with Scott about the equipment that was in there, he said he could find a place for it. They talked about building up another one of those storage sheds over there for putting the chairs, the tables over there. I'm fine with moving the office up, so I think you need to look at not just people that we have in the position, but if you had a different person in the position, would it be an attractable place to hire somebody to move to? Because I personally wouldn't take a position where you're sitting in that room.
I don't think it's that big a project that it can't be handled at some time. We're just talking about extending a couple of ducts. If we were in that position, I think it could be done pretty quickly. I'd still like to get some input from Scott. There isn't just a few more chairs, there's a lot of stuff.
If in fact it improves his ability to do his job, or whatever individual we have in that position, then it's a good idea, but just for the sake of moving to be moving, I'm not sure what that.
No, you all can, dwell on it a little bit more. It's not something that has to be done, as far as I'm concerned, anytime immediately.
That would be my preference, but I'm not the only person.
Can we get input from Scott for the next meeting?
Sure. I don't have anything else for the board. The board does have a meeting. Go ahead, Steve.
Then voted on the.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, on the rates?
They didn't vote?
No, they didn't.
Oh.
No, we went right by that and gave you money.
I thought we voted $4,000.
You did, but he wants
but
the
we
fee,
didn't-
he
we
wants the
didn't change
fees
the fees.
changed.
We didn't change the
I didn't get
fees.
the unit to change the fees for the graves. The grave fees changed.
I'm gonna tell you what everybody tells me, it just costs more to get in the ground than it does go.
We just like you coming back in every time.
I would move that we allow the fees for the cemetery
As proposed.
to increase by the amount presented to us.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the board does have a meeting on Thursday by Zoom at 1:30. We'll have Dennis Carmen zooming in.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bob Valeri is going to be zooming in. We already got a statement from him as Board of Health agent about the continuance of the state of emergency and the problems with the pandemic. That's the only, and then it's just general COVID. That's the only specific thing we're talking about, but if there are other COVID issues for Thursday, the board's going to be able to bring those up.
The only thing I'd like to add, just for the next meeting, is if we can put the Zoom link out there, and I'll try doing it through Zoom, because that worked the last time where this
So
kind
it's
of
1:30
failed.
and that's 6 o'clock?
There's two that day.
So there's a 6 o'clock with Land Use Council, and there's a 1:30 Zoom meeting for the COVID, and having Dennis publicly announce the recess of the town meeting again from August 1st to either the 22nd or 29th.
Okay.
You good?
I believe so, yeah.
Move to
Do you
adjourn.
want an update on Silver Lake negotiations? We
Well-
have it posted as,
We can go into exec, if that's, you know, it's up to the board.
Thanks, Steve.
does the board want an update, or you want to wait?
Do we need one tonight?
Well, I mean, it's a public thing that we're going into mediation. It's not.
Oh, okay, well, so we're not going into executive session to talk about it?
All right.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, we're just saying, like, we
Yeah.
are going into mediation.
Oh, okay. This is with the teachers?
Yes.
And that's just for Silver Lake, we don't know, it's something different is happening across the street.
Right, we haven't touched that yet. It was just, we are in mediation.
Which will take a fair amount of time based on previous experience. Not with the schools, but just in general.
Anything else, anybody?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second it myself. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.